Episode 3, Lucy's Open Defiance. Scene 1, Crossing the Line.
The moment did not move. The machine whined softly now, its steady hum fraying at the edges, like a breath held too long. Indicators remained lit, systems remained armed, everything waited for a command that did not come. Binksy stood dark and silent on the platform, Teddy stood frozen at the controls, and Arkhon, momentarily unbalanced by refusal, had already turned back toward the mind, his voice sharpening as he prepared to force the next step. "Proceed," he said, "this delay is unacceptable." It was then that something changed, not at the center, at the edge. In the civilian enclosure at the back of the clearing, Lucy shifted her weight. Grumpy stood beside her, broad and immovable as duty itself. He did not look at her, he did not raise a hand. The rules did not include instructions for what happened next. Lucy did not ask permission, she did not push past him, she simply stepped forward. Her first footfall was quiet, but distinct. It cut through the mechanical whine like a hairline crack through glass. Another step followed, then another. The rhythm of her movement emerged against the machine's monotony, uneven, human, unmistakably intentional. Arkhon noticed the motion in his periphery. "Stay where you are," he said sharply, without turning. "Number 3, this is a sterile procedure. You have no authorization in this zone." Lucy did not answer, she reached the boundary line. Chalk pale against the ground, a symbol of order drawn thin and absolute, she stepped over it. The distance from the back row to the center of the clearing was short, measured in steps. It meant almost nothing, but every eye was on her now, every unspoken rule pressed down at once. Her shoulders sagged with exhaustion, her breath came shallow, each step carried the weight of being watched, judged, categorized. Still, she did not stop. She walked toward the Machine of Oblivion, not in defiance of authority, in defiance of wrongness. This was no longer about her place among the three, no longer about whether she mattered, or whether she was enough. The question had simplified itself. Something terrible was about to happen, and she was close enough to refuse to let it happen quietly. Behind her, the machine continued to whine. Ahead of her, Arkhon turned fully now, his composure tightening as control slipped from the shape he had given it. Lucy kept walking.
Scene 2, Diagnosis without Sentiment.
Lucy stepped forward, not quickly, not dramatically. She did not rush to the Queen's side, she did not reach for the glass. Once, long ago, she would have. Once, she would have crossed the space between herself and the Queen without thinking, arms already lifting, heart already aching with borrowed sorrow. She would have pleaded, she would have tried to soften the moment with warmth. She did none of those things. Instead, she placed herself between Teddy and Arkhon. The movement was small, almost unremarkable. A single step, a shift of weight. Yet it altered the geometry of the chamber more decisively than any command Arkhon had issued. The air adjusted around her, as if the Dreamwilds themselves were recalculating. Arkhon turned toward her with a thin, knowing smile. "Well?" he said lightly. "Have you come to weep, Lucy? To tell us how this makes you feel?" A pause, deliberate. "We do not have time for feelings." Lucy met his gaze. Her eyes were dry. "No," she said, her voice was steady. Not hardened, not raised, simply precise. "Feelings pass," she gestured. Not toward herself, but toward the structure looming beside them. "This does not." For the first time, Arkhon's smile faltered. Not vanished, but delayed, as if it had missed its cue. Lucy continued. "You say you are removing a threat," she said, "but you are not." She pointed directly at the machine. "You are amputating part of us." The word landed heavily in the chamber. Not dramatic, clinical. "If we destroy everything that frightens us," she went on, "we do not become safer, we become smaller." Arkhon tilted his head, studying her now. "Not as a nuisance, but as a variable." "You speak of fear as if it were a luxury," he replied. "I speak of consequences." Lucy nodded once. "So do I." She took another step. Not closer to the Queen, but closer to the machine itself. Close enough now that its low, regulated hum brushed against her fur, vibrating faintly through her bones. Her coat was still matted with dust, dulled by days she had not rested properly. She did not look polished, she looked anchored. "This," she said quietly, "undoes what we repaired." She did not say good or evil, she did not say mercy. "This is not healing," Lucy said, "it is lobotomy." The word hung there. Cold, unmistakable. The machine did not respond, it continued its patient work, indifferent and exact. Arkhon opened his mouth, closed it again. This was not the argument he had prepared for. He had expected tears, expected appeals to kindness, to forgiveness, to the Queen's pain. He had expected sentiment. Something he could weigh, measure, dismiss. Lucy had given him none of it. She had used his language, and turned it against him. Behind her, Teddy did not move. Behind the glass, the Queen did not speak. And for the first time since he had taken control of the Dreamwilds, Arkhon found himself without a clean answer. His posture shifted, almost imperceptibly, his shoulders angled inward as his hand drifted. Not protectively toward the Queen, but toward the machine, as though shielding it from an accusation it could not refute. Lucy did not advance further. She did not need to. She stood her ground. Not pleading, not performing. Simply present, simply refusing to step aside. The hum of the chamber deepened, no longer smooth, no longer invisible, it trembled. Just enough to be heard, and in that moment, something unfamiliar entered the room. Not rebellion, not chaos, but the quiet, unnerving weight of a truth that did not care whether anyone approved of it.
Scene 3. The power of non-participation.
Arkhon's gaze hardened. The pause had lasted too long. He felt it now. The shift in the room, the way certainty was no longer flowing toward him but pooling elsewhere, gathering around a figure he had already dismissed as harmless. Enough. This is going nowhere, he snapped, the thin veneer of reason cracking at last. He turned sharply toward Teddy. Activate it, Arkhon shouted. Now, before this hysteria spreads. The word hysteria ricocheted through the chamber, sharp and accusing. Teddy flinched. His massive frame trembled, not with fear exactly, but with strain. His hand was already on the lewa. Thick fingers wrapped around the cold metal as if it were a familiar tool, something built to be held, something meant to be used. Inside him, the logic assembled itself with brutal efficiency. Arkhon is the leader. The command is valid. A valid command must be executed. There was no room in that structure for doubt, no variable for self. The machine pulsed, responding to proximity, to intention. Its sound grew tighter, more insistent. A rising whine threaded through with a mechanical patience that felt almost eager. Lucy moved. She did not rush Arkhon. She did not shout. She crossed the space between herself and Teddy instead, quietly, decisively, as though this had always been the only place she could stand, and then she did something no one, least of all Arkhon, had anticipated. She placed her hand over Teddy's, not to pull it away, not to force it open. She simply held it there. Her palm rested on the back of his knuckles, warm against the cold metal of the lever, her weight just enough to make movement impossible without intention. She became resistance. Not violent, not dramatic, but absolute. The machine continued to hum beneath them, the sound now uneven, straining against an action that was not happening. Lucy did not look at Arkhon, she looked only at Teddy. You don't have to do this to be useful, she said softly. Her voice cut through the noise not by volume, but by clarity. You are enough without the machine. Something fractured, not loudly, not all at once. The chain inside Teddy. Command, obedience, execution. Developed a single, impossible break. Useful. The word echoed, suddenly hollow. His grip loosened, just slightly. Enough. The lever did not snap back. The machine was still active, still alive with motion. But now unguided, its rhythm slipping into a hollow, unfocused churn. The whine dropped in pitch, the sound sagging, as if the mechanism itself had lost confidence in its purpose. Teddy's hand fell away, Lucy's hand fell with it. Three forces had held that lever only moments before. Arkhon's will, Teddy's strength, Lucy's refusal. Only one of them remained. Arkhon stared. The game had stopped. Not because it had been won, but because the board itself had been abandoned. Lucy stepped back beside Teddy, not triumphant, not defiant. Simply present, standing with him outside the logic that had tried to consume them both. The machine turned on, and on, and on, but no one was driving it anymore.